Hi guys, so today we're going to have a homeschool talk. So we are ending our first full year of homeschooling, and I'm sitting here, I'm trying to go through all of the kids' work from the year that I saved and photos and stuff. Okay, the face cloud's right next to you. Somebody sold on her snack. And it got me to thinking. I was, with our homeschool group, which actually is changing because the leader is no longer wants to do it, so I have to change. Like, I don't even know how to call it. It's not like a co-op. We're not in that yet. We are in a few groups, but we're not in a co-op in our area yet. But it was like the homeschool association. That's what I'm looking for. They're closing, so we had to look for a new one. And the ones we were looking at, which are fine, it's just deciding which one's really best for us. And friends of ours who are also homeschooling, they homeschooled this past year. We are going to pick the same one just so we're all together and we all are on the same page. But she's grabbing the controller. One of them, and I can't remember if it's the one we are going to do or not. Okay. I swear, there's always a fight somewhere. But as we were going through, one of them actually gave you like a readout of like what your kids should learn, because they do like a Q&A kind of section, and it was like a kind of a like what your normal first grade, second grade, kindergartner would learn through the year. And so I was kind of curious because honestly, if you do not know our situation, I have he's gonna be 8 in a week, an 8-year-old who's in second grade. He has autism, so he is a little bit behind, or he was coming into second grade. I knew exactly where he was because we had just had his IEP, and his teacher was awesome, and she actually had given me something very similar to this. And so I knew where he was. And then I have a first grader who, he just turned 7. So he's going into second grade. So I have someone who, we just finished first grade and we were just finished second grade. And so when I was printing it off, I was looking at it because I was really curious. Like, my goal this year, honestly, was to get us all acclimated for, our first year of homeschooling, find our routine, what works for us. And then also, my goal was to get Jeffrey caught up to where he needed to be if we had decided to send them back. We weren't positive when we started this in the fall if we were going to do this long term or if it was just going to be for a year. So my goal was to get him caught up to where he should be when he goes into third grade, which was my thought at the time. So my thought was I needed to get him caught up. So I needed him to finish really first grade because he was behind, and then do all of second grade. So when I printed off these sheets, I was, one, very overwhelmed because it's a lot, and 2, I was getting so confused because I was thinking of both boys, but I was also thinking, okay, 1, we did all of first grade because Robert needed to do all of that, plus Jeffrey had to get caught up in first grade, and then we did like 90% of second grade. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was so overwhelming. And then I finally sat. First off, I did this at 9 o'clock at night. Don't do that. My brain could not shut off. I didn't sleep well that night. The next morning I sat and I looked at it, and I had with the little sleep I had, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confusing both of the kids here. I'm telling you. So, kids, I swear, somebody is always fighting, and Mia grabbed the controller for the Switch. It's not on, but she thinks she's playing with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey thinks that she's going to join, and she has no idea how to join. She's holding the remote. She thinks what he is doing is what she's doing. You have kids, So anyways, so when I was looking at these, I realized I was getting so confused because I had to then catch everybody up. So once I sat down and went through it, I went, oh my God. 1, I caught Jeffrey up. He is no longer behind. He was like probably, for first grade, he was probably like 50 to 60% complete of first grade. But because of the way the system is now, he got pushed to second grade. So I don't really know if they would have got him caught up, because it did not seem like that when I was talking to his teacher at the beginning of the year. If you don't know, we did do virtual for a few days. I'll leave that video below because I'm not going to explain it again. But so when I realized I caught him up, we are almost done second grade. Now, not only were we almost done second grade, Robert's almost done second grade, and Robert's in first grade. So we technically got 2 years done somehow this year. So we're caught up. Like I said, there's like a couple of things we did not do in second grade, and honestly we're like right there. So we'll probably do that over the summer because we are going full year. So, but where we like didn't do, there was other things that we did do. So we're actually ahead in a couple subjects, but we're like a tiny bit behind in another. and where it is so great anyways, because I actually have friends who are teachers or who were teachers in the past, who are retired. So I've talked to them, and like they were amazed when I was actually saying this, because I'm like, I told them I was getting overwhelmed, and then I talked to them about it, and they're like, you're not being, they're like, because you did so much, like, slow down. Now I know, like, we don't have to go that fast. And like I said, we were also trying to catch up. So our goal was to get caught up by the end of May was what we had to do. Jeffrey, calm down.
She joined game.
No, she didn't, Jeffrey. He thinks when it says join the game, she doesn't know how to push the button, so she's not joining. So our goal is now we'll be at the 180 days. So for the summer and onward, we're actually going to do 3 days a week. So that'll be great. We'll have days to do other things. If we can, we're looking into co-ops in our area, which is great. So, we'll be able to work our schedule around that, which will be great. But the fact that we are like, I can't believe how caught up I got them. I am like super proud of myself. There are a couple areas like reading wise, Robert had a hard time getting to where he should be. But now it was like he could not get over that, like, it was like that one, like, if you don't know the reading levels, like, there's different levels. And so he was, like, stuck at one level. And he just hold on, honey. He could not get past it. I don't know what the problem was. He just couldn't. Jeffrey, please stop. So he could not get past it. Then all of a sudden, he got past it. And now he's like, it's like he can't stop. Yes, honey. You want more cucumbers?
Yeah.
All right, I'll cut them up in a minute. Likes her veggies. So anyways, this video is not going the way I thought it would, but that's okay. So now he's getting it and getting it and getting it, and it's like once he got over it, it was, he's so proud of himself because he worked so hard to get there. But I feel like he had to be in school, he probably would have been very discouraged because he wasn't where everyone else was. Where here it's like, it's just, you granted, yeah, Jeffrey reads at higher level than he does, but at the same time he knew that he was behind, and it was frustrating him at first. And I'm like, look, you can take all the time if you need. If you need to keep going, you need to stay here for long, that's fine. Like, we do what we got to do. You'll eventually get it. And sure enough, it one day clicked. And it's like, once you see that it clicks, it's amazing. And one other thing I realized that I was doing, which I forget what type of teaching it is. They have different ways to teach. But the way I am doing it is, once we learn something, like, we'll move on and do something else, but then we come back and review it. And not only review it, I want it to the point where they master it, because I feel like you learn some things and then you lose it. And that was how I felt they came in. I felt that they were when we started homeschooling. It was like, this was stuff that they should have known, and I was told that they knew because I had their progress reports and everything, but it's like, because they don't go back and like refresh their memory on that, they lose it. So I was trying to really make sure that they knew it. It wasn't just, oh, we went through it and now we're done and we're not going to go back to it again. We're going to make sure you know it. And when I was telling my husband that, he's like, you're so right. He's like, because there was stuff we learned in school. He goes, I know we learned it. He goes, but I couldn't tell you how to use it because it's not something you need every day. But then like the everyday skills is what they've done so well. Another thing I know everyone is always concerned about with homeschooling is the socialization. I have got to tell you, Jeffrey was a very antisocial child. He just didn't like to be around people. He didn't really want to have friends, and that is the part that it is him being autistic. It is a part of it, the socialization. Either they're really super sociable or they're antisocial. He didn't really care about that. And it was fine. I never pushed it. He did have a few friends that he did hang out with, but he never really asked to hang out with them. Like, it was always us making, the parents making play dates. It was never him initiating. Robert he would say, oh, I want to play with this person, so-and-so. And I'd be like, okay. And Jeffrey just was never like that. And now all of a sudden he is. And he is a much more social, not just with children, but with adults too. He used to be very shy and wouldn't talk to adults. I mean, he would, say hi they acknowledged him, but he is now initiating conversations with adults, which is fantastic. He will tell you a story. He will tell you how he feels. I feel like he has come so far that I'm more proud of that than I am of the education, even though I'm super proud of the education. But the fact that he's blossomed, and he actually got to the point, he told me he wanted to go back to school in the building. Okay, here's the thing. So for a week, he went through and was telling me he wanted to go back to school in the building. But I was like, really? You want to go, all day. And then it was funny the next day. Yes. But I was like, oh, well, like, you'd be going all day. And he's like, no, I just want to go and come back. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you go, it would be all day. And then finally, like, an hour later, my husband and I were talking to him about it because we were, like, trying to figure out why he kept saying this. And then we finally got out of him that he wanted to play with somebody. And he wanted to play with a specific person. And it was like, oh, well, we can make a play date, honey. You don't have to go to school for that. Which the funny part is, that child, that friend, hasn't been in his class since preschool. We just still hang out with him, but they haven't been in class together since preschool. But he knew that he would see him at school, even though it was years ago. Like, that's where his brain was going. He couldn't realize that, oh, wait, I can see him outside of school, because that's where he sees him all the time now. When we have play dates, obviously, we're not in school. We go to the park, or we hang out at the houses. So it's like, to him, seeing his friends meant going to school. So he thought that's what he was getting confused. And once we got out of him, oh, you want to play with this person? He was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And we're like, so you still want to go to school? He's like, no. Because it was funny, the next day, like, we actually had gotten up right when the bus would have come. Granted, I would have driven them, but I wanted to give them to show them, like, how long the day is. I was like, they were literally getting out of bed to go to the bathroom. First thing in the morning, I'm like, the bus is here. And they're like, what? Like, yeah, bus is here. And then later that day when it showed up again, I'm like, this is when you would get home. And they were, like, really not happy about it. And I'm like, see, that's why. And they, like the fact that we can go to the park, we can have play dates, we can do other things. Like, we're going away next week, and we're going for longer than we would have because of the fact that we homeschool, which is great. We're also doing some homeschooling things. We got some going to a museum and a couple other things. So that'll be great. But what I'm really getting at is that homeschooling the first year, though we did have our ups and downs, and we are definitely burnt out at this point, but we also realize we don't want to do 5 days a week. And so going forward, we won't do 5 days a week. And also figuring out, like, what works best for everybody. Like, on our days where we have therapies for Jeffrey, doing homeschool is kind of a little much. So we might do just our reading, or we might do, like, one activity, but to try to jam every subject in, it's not going to happen. And it's taken me a while to get that down and being like, okay, we don't have to do every subject every day. I need to loosen up. And, if we have a day where we can't get it all done, we don't get it all done. And that's fine. And that I would definitely see was my biggest challenge, was finding out what works for us. And now I must say, though, the kids are great. If they need a break, they'll be like, okay, can I finish this and then take a break? And it'd be, yeah. Or it'd be like, sometimes they'll be like, they do like one math equation, be like, okay, can I take a break? It's like, no, let's do a few more, then take a break. It might be they just started doing it. So they try to pull that sometimes and be like, no. But other than that, it's gone really well. I'm really excited for what the next years will bring, because Mia is definitely getting into wanting to join us, which is great. So she's been, joining in some of it, which has been awesome. So I'm going to show you guys some more things in upcoming videos for homeschooling, like what we're going to do for the summer and kind of our schedule. And I'm taking all of our work that I saved for this year, along with any pictures I took, and kind of do like a little journal book for them. It'd be more like a scrapbook, but I think I might do it like through, Snapfish or Shutterfly, something like that, to like save everything. And so we'll have like every year I want to do that. So it's every year our homeschool book, so that we can be like, okay, if we ever got, if like the state ever came in and wanted to see what we're doing, because you are supposed to save stuff, that's something I'd be like, well, here we did this, and I can write in there like what we did and all that stuff. So that'll be great. So that is all for now. I rambled on way longer than I thought, but I'm gonna get this little lady some cucumbers because she wants some, even though she's eating the peppers now. She likes her veggies. So I hope you guys are all doing well, and I'll see you in our next video.